In a peaceful village nestled between rolling hills, there was a belief passed down through generations that every child was born with an invisible garden. This garden wasn't made of flowers and plants, but rather emotions, each feeling a different kind of flower or vine. Some grew strong and beautiful, while others became wild and unruly if left untended. Young Leo was a curious boy who loved exploring the forests and streams near his home. But inside him, his garden was in chaos, though he didn't know it yet. Whenever he felt sad, angry, or frustrated, those feelings seemed to grow too big to handle. At school, he'd get into trouble, and at home, he'd find himself overwhelmed by his emotions. One evening, after a particularly hard day filled with outbursts and tears, Leo sat by the village well, feeling lost. That's when old Mr. Willow, the village gardener, walked by. Mr. Willow was known for his beautiful, serene garden that bloomed all year round with the most extraordinary flowers. Seeing Leo's sad face, Mr. Willow sat beside him. "What's troubling you, young one?" he asked gently. Leo sighed, wiping his eyes. "I don't know, Mr. Willow. Sometimes I feel so angry or sad, and it just gets worse. I can't control it." Mr. Willow nodded knowingly. "Ah, your garden must be overgrown." Leo blinked in confusion. "My garden? But I don't have a garden." "Not one you can see," Mr. Willow explained with a smile. "Inside every one of us, there's a garden made of our emotions. The flowers of joy, peace, and love bloom brightly when you care for them, but if you ignore your garden, the weeds of anger, fear, and sadness grow wild." Leo tilted his head. "So, what do I do? How do I take care of it?" Mr. Willow stood and gestured for Leo to follow. Together, they walked to the gardener's home, where Leo could see the most vibrant colors in every direction: roses, tulips, sunflowers, and even some plants he didn't recognize. "When you feel angry, that's like a thorny vine wrapping around your joy," Mr. Willow said, pointing to a beautiful rose covered in thorns. "If you ignore it, it will spread and take over. But if you stop, breathe, and understand why you're angry, you can carefully trim the vine and let the flower bloom." "But how do I trim it?" Leo asked, intrigued. Mr. Willow handed Leo a small pair of garden shears. "You do it by acknowledging your feelings instead of pushing them away. When you feel anger rising, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, why am I angry? What caused it? Once you understand it, you can choose how to respond. That's like cutting away the thorns so they don't hurt you or others." Leo nodded thoughtfully. "And what about sadness?" "I feel sad a lot." Mr. Willow knelt by a delicate bluebell flower. "Sadness is like this bluebell, fragile, yet important. If you water it too much by focusing only on what's gone wrong, it will wilt. But if you take care of it by sharing your feelings, spending time with loved ones, or doing something kind for yourself, it grows strong again." The old man stood up and smiled at Leo. "Tending to your emotional garden takes time and practice, but once you understand each emotion, you'll see that even the hard ones, like sadness and anger, can help you grow." Leo spent the rest of the evening helping Mr. Willow trim, water, and care for his garden. As he worked, he thought about the thorns of his anger and the delicate flowers of his sadness. He realized that, just like the plants, his emotions needed attention and care, not to be ignored or feared. From that day on, whenever Leo felt his emotions starting to take over, he imagined himself in his garden. He tended to his joy by doing things that made him happy, like playing with his friends. He pruned away his anger by talking about what upset him. He watered his sadness with kindness both to himself and others. Slowly but surely, his emotional garden flourished. And just like Mr. Willow's garden, Leo's emotions became balanced, beautiful, wild, and well-tended, blooming in harmony. Moral emotions, like a garden, need attention and care. By understanding and tending to our feelings, even the difficult ones can help us grow stronger and happier.